Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to talk about my personal self-care essentials. So this video is part of a playlist that I've started on my essentials list. And I have several different topics in there already. So I'll be linking to the full playlist in the description box down below. So let's get to my list. I am positive I'm probably still leaving something out. When I try to compile these lists, there's always something I'm forgetting, but I think I've got all the basics covered here. And so one of those things would be, well, soap making supplies. This is something I've covered in other videos. And since I do know how to make my own soap, I do like making sure I have plenty that I need, even if it's just the very basics, such as some refined coconut oil, because I prefer how it works better in soap making than the unrefined, and some lye. With those two things, you can also use lard or tallow if you prefer. You can make soap. And or if you get plenty of hard wood and you have a wood burning stove, then you can make your own lye with hardwood ash. We mostly heat our home with softwoods around here because where we live, that is what's most common to be able to get for burning in a wood stove. So anyway, yeah, if you can make your own lye, then all you need to stock up on are whatever your favorite fat is. If you raise your own farm animals that you can get the lard or tallow from, well, you've got that area covered as well. Now, another thing I do recommend is if you aren't already into making your own soaps, then consider stocking up on some quality soaps. For a liquid soap that has many, many purposes, I highly recommend Dr. Jacobs. I've been using them for a few years now. And so I have a video I did a few years ago on that. But since that video, they have come out with some more scents. I'll link to the older video because I go over a lot of the different ratios and water, mixing them with water for using in different applications, including a hair wash, a hand soap, and more. But you can also make your own liquid soaps with your homemade bar soap as well. It's not hard to do, but I really like the Dr. Jacobs, especially some of my favorite scents are the honey almond, the sensual manoi, and the clary sage lavender. Those are my top 3 favorites right now. But anyway, stocking up on something like that and some bar soaps and looking for the most natural ones you can would be preferable. And then the next on my list are my herbs. And now this is specifically the herbs that I grow. I grow a lot of herbs that are very beneficial to skin and hair. They're good for many other things as well. But you'll see right here this dark oil. This is one that I have. It's actually avocado oil, which starts off as clear, that I have infused a lot of my favorite herbs in using in my skin cream in. So I have several jars going at any one time for this particular infused oil, because not only do I make this for my own personal use, I do sell a lot of my skin cream. But a couple of the other ingredients that go in that would be the coconut oil, which I always keep both kinds on hand. And in the skin cream, I do like to use the unrefined, and some shea butter and beeswax are a couple other things I use in my skin cream. So these are a couple more of the essentials I like to keep in my stock for this particular list. Now, I know some of you are going to ask me, these 2 things I find I get the best price from, for the beeswax pellets and for the raw shea butter from Halal Every Day. And I'll go ahead and put a link down below that should give you, I think, 15% off your order. I really like them because they're a small US-based business and they have some of the best prices I've seen on a lot of this stuff. Now, another oil I like to keep on hand and keep stocked is castor oil. Sometimes this gets used in my homemade soaps. I sometimes mix it with my skin cream when I just need a little extra boost. but it also gets used in my muscle rub and in my hair growth oil when I need to get some more made. I haven't had to use it in a long time, but I should get more made up. But I do mix this with avocado oil to lower the viscosity. Now, you can, from Halal Every Day, also get a very good price on organic castor oil, hexane free by the gallon, but it does come in a plastic jug. So for those people who have issue with that, you can either do like I did here and repackage it into glass jars, or you can look at, this is also a small family-owned US-based business, and this is Creekwood Naturals. And I'll put a link to their site down below. I'm not an affiliate with them yet. I hope to be someday. But they do have 100% pure and natural cold press castor oil. Cold press means it is going to be hexane free, and it is in a dark glass bottle for those who are concerned about that. But it is going to be more expensive to buy it this way. And if you don't have any dark jars to store your castor oil in, just keep it in a dark place, in a cabinet or something, if you're concerned about that. Oh, and a couple more videos I'll be linking down below is I'll link to several. I'll link to the one on the infused oil and the herbs that I use in my infused oil for skin, as well as the one I use for my muscle rub and for the hair oil. I'll link to all three of those down below, and to my recipe on making the skin cream if you're interested and you like to just make it for yourself. But remember, I do sell it if you would like to just try some to see what you think about it first. Oh, some other fats, like maybe you can't have shea butter. A couple others I would recommend is either the avocado butter, which you can also get from Halal Every Day, or mango butter. And a couple of other excellent options. And that obviously is going to be vary per person. It's just like castor oil. Not everybody can use it. Some people are highly allergic to it, which is why I do not add it to my skin cream when I'm making it, because some people will have issue with that. Now, something else I stock up on, which is something people should stock up on anyway if they're doing essentials for baking or just having a good food storage, is some kind of sugar, be it organic cane sugar, raw honey, maple syrup, molasses. Well, in this case, especially for the hair care, I like to make sure I have honey or organic cane sugar on hand. Typically, I'm going to use the organic cane sugar because it's going to be less expensive than honey. But if you're looking at keeping bees, which maybe someday we will, then I would be using the honey I get from my bees for making my vinegar, because you can use either. And so the vinegar is what most of the time is what I wash my hair with. The homemade vinegar, I dilute it down about 1 part to maybe 3 parts water. So yeah, I like to make sure I have plenty of sugar on hand for that. I can use the apples from my tree or the peels from the apples from my tree. I can use the herbs. In fact, I make a lot of the vinegars I make to use on my hair are ones I make from my own homegrown herbs. A lot of them are the same herbs I use in the oil for my skin cream. So that would be things like rose petals, rosemary, which is really good to help with hair growth, sage, another one, lavender, and so much more. Calendula is another great one. And so having those herbs along with my homemade vinegar and the sugar to make it, then that is definitely an essential for me. Then, of course, I don't think I mentioned avocado oil is something I definitely stock up on. Now, you don't have to stock up on avocado oil if you prefer grapeseed oil or you prefer to use olive oil, which when it comes to infusing oils, it is not my personal favorite to use because of its ease of going rancid when it's infusing, especially if you're keeping it in a pretty warm place. This is why I stick to avocado, because I don't have to worry about rancidity issues. Now I'm going to move on to talking about dental care a little bit. So I do definitely keep things stocked for the purpose of using for dental care. And one of those things is bentonite clay. Well, here's the great thing about bentonite clay is not only does it work great in adding to your tooth powders if you're making your own tooth powders, let's say with baking soda, which of course is another essential I always have stocked, but it will remineralize your teeth, but you can also use it for skincare and helping to pull the toxins out of your skin. You can also use it internally for the same reason, but you can make a clay mask that you can use on your hair or on your face, and it will just, it just is really good for the skin. It's very cleansing, very purifying. And I don't do that a lot. You don't want to do it too much because sometimes it can be a little harsh. In fact, I also now stock up on kaolin clay, which I also get from Halal every day, along with the bentonite clay. And I think, I'm not sure, but they might have activated charcoal there now too. But I think that, I think the Creekwood Naturals has activated charcoal now too, which I didn't mention activated charcoal, but I'll get to that. Anyway, the kaolin clay is a lot less harsh on your skin, and you can either mix that like a 50-50 blend with bentonite clay to use as a face mask, or you can just use the kaolin clay. It's a good, all you gotta do is add water, or you can make an herbal tea out of that with herbs that are good for your skin, such as calendula, plantain, comfrey, and then add that to the clay instead. Then you're getting even more benefits out of that. But yes, using the bentonite clay as for dental care is really excellent because it helps to remineralize the teeth as well as really clean everything and detoxify everything in there. And so another thing I keep on hand for dental care, obviously we stock up on toothbrushes and dental floss, but I also have dental tools on hand that I meant to bring in here, but I forgot. But you can buy for really inexpensive, you can get some good, a set of stainless steel, that's what you want to look for, dental tools. That will include the angled mirror, the little hook that you can use. It's got a really sharp end. It's got two really sharp ends. But let's say in case of dental floss, that little hook is perfect for getting in there. It's like a little pick and getting between the teeth and cleaning off, maybe built up tartar and so on. The calculus that can build up on your teeth, that works really good for that. One of my favorite things, I switch it up all the time. I do make a tooth powder, which Mr. Rain just has been using that for years, but I'm always switching it up. Sometimes I use my homemade tooth powder and I add different types of things to it. And I have a recipe. I'll link to my most recent recipe. I've got a few of them out there and I'm always changing it, but I'll link to the most recent one down below. But sometimes I just like to use coconut oil. Again, in this case, I use the unrefined, where I add some essential oils to that. Lemon, I do like to use from time to time, orange or peppermint, or even orange clove. And I'll just mix that in there. You might be surprised at how well just brushing with coconut oil alone works for your teeth, or you can mix a little bit of that bentonite clay in with the coconut oil and use that. So that's really good for people who have issues using baking soda because it can be really harsh. I know if I use just plain baking soda, it is too harsh. Even when I do a 50-50 blend where half of it's baking soda and the rest of it's everything else that I like to add to the powder, sometimes it's still too harsh. So I find I prefer, probably more than anything, is the coconut oil, though I will still occasionally go back to a powder, especially with the bentonite clay in it. Just keep in mind the oil, and I don't always remember to say this, spitting the coconut oil and the bentonite clay is not the best choice to spit it down the sink. You may want to go have a special place outside that you spit it, or just spit it into, some people use a paper towel and then throw that away, whatever. And then another thing, which I have right here, are my eggshells. So these are from my own chickens. This cost me nothing other than the feed for the chickens, which I'm getting the eggs from anyway. But I take their eggshells, what I'm not already crushing up and throwing back to them for their own feed to help increase their mineral content and make their eggshells stronger. But I powder these up and I use these internally to also help with my teeth. This is going to strengthen your teeth. This is a cheap way to get a lot of your minerals, which of course, the couple of the main two are calcium and magnesium, which really need to be taken in tandem anyway. So this, when I keep up on taking about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of this per day, maybe with, now my favorite thing to do is mix it with some of my homemade vinegar and maybe throw a little bit of juice in there to improve the flavor. It actually tastes pretty good. And then I'll just swig it down. So I'll just use a little bit and swig it down. I don't have to make capsules out of it or whatever. But I find when I keep up on taking the eggshells, I try to do it every day, but if I'm at least doing it, every other day, my teeth always look better when I'm doing that. If I don't keep up on it, especially at my age, I'll notice my teeth will start to get a little gray, which what's happening is they're actually turning translucent. And you can tell if you look closely in a magnified mirror. And so that's a good way to tell that you're not getting enough of your calcium, magnesium, and all those other great minerals. So you want to find a way to get more minerals in a natural form. Eggshells is a very cheap way to do it, as opposed to buying supplements and not knowing really what all might be in there. Now, the last thing on the list as far as the personal, skin health care, we're going to count this in more of a beauty care thing. I put this down at the bottom because I wouldn't call it essential. In a real life or death matter, real hard time, this really wouldn't be an issue. But I do like to keep some activated charcoal on hand, and I can use that to make my own mascara and eyeliner with that, which I just had to redo that video, my old one that I did on that. And so it should be published by now, so I'll put a link to that video down below if you'd like to see my recipe on the homemade mascara. And that way, if you just want to have something that just makes you feel good, make you feel a little better about yourself, that's pretty much all I wear. Most of the time, that's all I wear is a little mascara and a little bit of eyeliner, and sometimes a little bit of my own homemade face powder, which involves using like French green clay, some tapioca starch, and some cocoa powder, which I have a video on that as well if you'd like to learn, just to add a little color to my skin during the winter months, but just very little, very, very lightly. But most time I don't even use that. So those are just nice little bonus things to have on hand, but definitely not near as important as just taking care of your skin, your teeth, your hair in a more natural format that's also very, very frugal. So that's the reason these are all the kind of things that are on my essentials list. Now, again, I'm pretty sure there's some things I've forgotten to list off, forgot to write down, but please feel free to share some of your essentials that you like to keep on hand in things such as taking care of your skin and your hair, and even for beauty care and also dental care. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.